Wehrmacht, and then you've got the generators and the compressors and all the other things. Behind the rocket you have, to the left, the LOX tank, liquid oxygen, and it seems the Soviet Air Force, the VVS, has sent in a reconnaissance plane to have a close look at this weapon. So you have here the Polikarpov PO-2 biplane, famously the mount of the Night Witches. I think most of you have probably heard of the Night Witches and all about that. Fantastic story. Amazing ladies participating in World War II, flying these vintage, even then would have seemed a vintage aircraft, over the lines during night operations to unhinge the Germans as they tried to rest. Amazing story. In this case, we've got the PO-2 serving in the reconnaissance role, photographing this unusual weapon that the Germans seem to be playing with here. The PO-2 is brought to us today by Stephen and Crystal Whitty, who live on the other side of the hill over past Nelson, and they've been waiting for years to get their PO-2 finished and based here at Omark, and it arrived just a few weeks ago with Ryan Southam flying. One of the most prolific aircraft types ever constructed. They built something like 30,000 of these throughout the Soviet countries. Today there are only about a half a dozen flying worldwide.
It realises that it's either going to have to launch or endure an onslaught from the Spitfire that's circling overhead.
Or you can see the fire
somewhere. Let's see what happens.
Whilst we like to practice most things, folks, a certain amount of what we're seeing at the moment had to be first time round, so bear with us. It's a little bit nerve-wracking to see all this happening at once like this.
Oh yes, things are starting to heat up.
What would normally happen in a circumstance like this would be the crew on the ground there would be calling in the Luftwaffe to try and discourage this Soviet aircraft from being in their airspace.
Oh, so the 190 out there was that the Spitfire?
That distinctive sound of the Polikarpov PO-2, by the way, is a 5-cylinder radial, which is a reasonably uncommon configuration for an aircraft engine. This one is an Ivchenko M11. Pretty sure that's what it's called. It's about 160 horsepower. But the 5-cylinder arrangement gives it a soundtrack we talked about yesterday that is best mimicked when you say chicken plucker, chicken plucker, chicken plucker in quick succession. I think you'll have to agree when you hear it go past. Yeah, that works, doesn't it? Just the air crew, but the mechanics, the logistics, all level of maintenance, supply, operations, admin. It was entirely an all-women force, and the things they were asked to do, going out on freezing nights in these airplanes, open cockpit of course, and then the armourers, also women, would find that they had to load the bombs under these airplanes and then arm the bombs before they took off, and to do that they'd have to take off their gloves, and quite often their fingers would freeze to the weapons, and so they wouldn't be able to actually retain the skin on the end of their fingers. Okay, so now we've got the Focke-Wulf 190. Obviously the Luftwaffe has been called in and they're going to try and discourage this PO-2. It shouldn't be too hard. high-speed fighter discouraging a vintage biplane like that.
But I think that's done the trick. But wait, there's more. Now we have the arrival of the Spitfire, so you know what he's going to do. And here it comes.
Quite a serious airfield attack if you just stand by for a little while longer. In the meantime, big wave to Jay McIntyre from Gem Aviation. Jay only flew this airplane for the first time about a week ago, so he's still getting used to it, but I gather he's really enjoying the journey. His first flight produced a massive smile after the end of it. Looks like these two decided to engage.
Oh shit. Oh dear. He got him.
I really hope somebody was filming that.
The Spitfire slipped that one out, and the V2 has long gone. That's why we have St. John on site. If anyone's got any chips of wood or what have you on your person, please report to the St. John tent. Oh, very impressed. Yeah, it can be rebuilt.
We rebuilt it once before,
Eventually.
believe it or not.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, the DC-3 is going to attempt to fly through the smoke wall. And misses. I forgot to warn you about that.
I wish you had. And again. Right. And here comes the Abro Anson from the right.